I've decided there were not enough walkthroughs of Halo that weren't sweaty speedruns. Not enough guidance on how to actually beat Legendary Combat Evolved. For real. Not only am I going to beat this game, but I'm going to smash Truth and Reconciliation in under 30 minutes. Solo. On Legendary. Without further ado, Lifeisaplanet here. Let's get into it. Alright, so Truth and Reconciliation, if you know, you know, it is probably one of the worst missions to play on Legendary and attempt to attain a par time on. I mean, it is just absolutely awful, but we're going to get into how you can beat this in under 30 minutes on Legendary, which already is almost impossible. You're going to start off by taking off those two Jackals first, and then these Elites as soon as you possibly can. You're going to have plenty of time so long as you stay perched up there. And if you're rounding the 30-second mark, it's about time to hop down and start taking out just a few grunts as you push forward to make this elite pop out. It is extremely important you finish that guy off quick, otherwise the grunts are going to stay aggroed. And you can leave your Marines out and about. It doesn't really matter if they make it or not. Yeah, sure, they're a lot of help, but honestly, you're not going to be wanting to worry about them if you're pushing forward trying to hit this in under 30 minutes. You're just going to take your assault rifle, try to beam all the grunts in your path. I used to walk with a plasma pistol, but honestly, in this mission where your secondary, or primary rather, is a sniper rifle, you're just going to want to roll with the assault rifle as it's the Covenants without shields weakness. Keep pushing up here, and you're going to want to start taking out the Jackals and grunts you see coming around here. Eventually, you're going to see an elite pop off the top. Once you see him, you're going to want to try and beam him. You're going to want to try and beam him as quickly as you can. It's going to make some of the grunts scared, and you might be able to get a few more while they're fleeing away from you. Once you get around this corner, there's going to be a red elite. You're going to want to take him out ASAP. I usually just beam him with the assault rifle if there's enough time. But as you can see in here, I almost lost it all, and that just would have been so funny. Dude, that would have been really funny. No, but anyways, we're going to come up here. You're going to try and beam this next elite that comes around the corner. He usually won't come around the corner until you've killed enough grunts. I'm not really sure how many, but he'll come. After you can take him out, you're going to want to take just the rest of these grunts out for the sake of keeping your Marines if there's any still behind you, and if not, then, well, you might as well just take them out so that they're not focused on you. Moving around this cliffside, get ready to take out this elite. He always walks up here, either blue or red. If it's blue, better yet. But if you can get him as soon as you possibly can, good. Get up on this hillside and get ready to look for an elite coming around the edge of that rock in the backdrop. As soon as you're able to get him, grab that active camo and just keep pushing forward. Keep in mind, a mistake I made here is I left my flashlight on. Don't leave your flashlight on. Turn it off ASAP. Also, don't worry about those elites because they're going to be able to kill your Marines, and honestly, you want your Marines to be dead by this point. Specifically so, as you kill these enemies, so long as you're quick enough, Echo 419 is going to drop down some more Marines early before the rest of the sequence starts. If you can do that and you keep those Marines alive, then once you've killed the hunters that drop as the final wave, Echo 419 will not come back down to give you more troops, and you can instantly transport. It saves a lot of time. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to save these Marines by the end, but I still made it in pretty good time into the ship. As soon as you can take out these enemies, I recommend just throwing a plasma early before the door is fully open. If you're able to kill them all, you're going to want to turn immediately to this grab lift. Enemies are pouring out, and it's important that we dispose of them quickly. As soon as there are 2 enemies left of any wave, if you kill the second to last enemy, the new wave will spawn, and you can time a grenade just right. I don't time it every time perfectly, but you get the point, and I actually go pretty nutty with the sniper rifle here in a moment. I'm actually pretty proud at this time, even though you can see on my time, I'm actually behind. I ran behind pretty much this entire mission, but on sequences like this, I might not hit the checkpoint exactly where I intended, but believe me, I was really proud of how quickly I was able to get it done, given the circumstance. You have to remember, this entire mission is totally RNG. Different enemy drops in different spots. Enemy commands to go in different directions and just shoot at you, maybe throw grenades. A lot of grunts throw grenades in Legendary. I mean, it is unbelievable how many tries were ruined just by grenades. So long as you still have an assault rifle, you can pretty easily mow all of these guys down. The elites are really the only thing you have to worry about, and if you can kill them first, then the Jackals might also go ballistic and flee, which is what you're going to want because Honestly, if all the enemies are shooting you at once, this can feel super impossible. So yeah, just take out the elites as soon as you possibly can. I was getting pretty antsy here, but you want to keep space from the grav lift. Enemies are going to come down there. So don't make the mistake I just made where I move onto the grav lift with my Marines. Fortunately, it was onto the last wave, so I had to wait for me to get off for the hunters to spawn. But if you walk up there early on, your Marines are going to be up there right where you want to throw grenades. Also, don't forget to pick up some ammo and health pack if you need it. Probably going to want to have some more sniper ammo. Once these hunters come down, you're going to want to do your best to just get one shots in the back on each of them. You might even call it back shots. Unfortunately, I'm not very good at giving back shots, but you get the point here, and as soon as I've killed them, the next sequence will begin, and unfortunately, like I said, I did not save all of my Marines. I'm pretty sure one of the Marines was backhanded by a hunter, unfortunately, and so I have to wait for Echo 419 to come back in and drop off another squadron. It's really unfortunate that it works that way. There's not much you can do about it. Once you get into the grav lift, you can skip cutscenes or watch them. Gotta remember, it doesn't count for time. This cutscene always amazed me because it's about him. Once you're in here, it's all smooth sailing. No, it is not smooth sailing. It is never going to be smooth sailing. But once you're in here, you're going to have 4 doors that begin to open with enemies. You're going to be able to see them on your radar, so just be keeping an eye out for that. Pretty much just chuck a grenade per window into each of them, and you'll be able to deal with most of the enemies that come through them. Typically, frag grenades work best on jackals, but I didn't get very many jackals in this run, so you don't really get to see much of that. Eventually, you do. The elites that come through here can be pretty random. Sometimes they're all gold elites. Sometimes each door will have a gold elite come through. Sometimes you won't have any, but it's pretty random. You'll be able to know when one is coming through because he'll be like, "Oh!" or some shit, and so you'll know that he's coming and you'll be able to turn and find him. If you have headphones on, it is much easier to hear the direction that he's coming from if he's not already on your radar. Like I said, just keep peeking out through these doors, throw frags at jackals when you get the chance, and eventually you're gonna be done. There's plenty of doors to open, so it might take you about 2 minutes at most to complete this. If it takes you longer, you need to be checking your time for the rest of the mission. I couldn't believe that there was this many doors on this run. For some reason, it felt like I had like 2 doors too many on this run, but there was nothing I could do about it. I figured maybe some enemies got backed up and they came at a later time, which is really unfortunate. You want to be able to get all of them. I don't know if that's the case, but I would imagine that's what happened because 2 extra doors seemed like a little much. And then as soon as these hunters come through, you're going to do the same thing where you're trying to hit them both with one shot. I do a little bit better job here, and I think I only lost maybe 1 Marine. After that, you're going to head on to this back corner and pick up this active camo and health kit if you need it. You're going to want to take this exact course through these halls, melee one of these grunts because supposedly, as Naked Eli told me, it spawns the grunt down here. He lied because there was no grunt down here, and I ended up just baiting an elite to move in that direction.
That's the locked door down there. The Marines are waiting on the controls to open it must be somewhere in this room.
Once you get into this little door, you no longer have to fight any of those enemies, and it's okay because your score is going to be up given you're on Legendary. You're going to move through these corridors, and eventually you're going to come to another choke point with some enemies at the other end. Typically, an elite is going to rush you. However, he did not rush me in this particular run. That is probably the first time he's ever not rushed me in that first hallway. And then we're on to probably, I don't know, in my opinion, the second most difficult part of this entire mission. There's a grenade jump that if we were speed running, we would do, but in this case, I am not doing this grenade jump. It is just totally unnecessary and unrealistic to the average player that's just playing this game on Legendary. I believe there's really no point in doing that if you're trying to just beat this game. Yeah, some skips come in handy, but when it takes you a few hours just to perfect it and keep resetting your checkpoint, it is not worth it at all. Props to Naked Eli and anybody else that showcased being able to do that trick. I'm not able to do that. It took me probably a few hours of trying to just eventually give up and blame it on 343 changing the physics or something. In these two rooms here, you've already seen all I'm doing is running through the plasma pistol and just trying to pistol whip any of these enemies as quickly as I possibly can. Keep in mind the health kit in the center of this room. You're going to want to be able to grab that, and also keep in mind the enemies that linger around the top floors. You don't have to kill them, but they're a pester. Eventually, I walk into the center of this room, and that is just not a good idea. Do not do that. Keep cover behind pillars and stay on this back wall where I'm at right here. You want to just be able to move back and forth around these pillars as it keeps cover from most of the enemies up top, and you can see enemies coming from around the corner on your waypoint before they get to you. Anyway, so you're going to want to stay there and try to just keep picking off these enemies as they come around you. They come out of different doors and usually only come 2 to 3 enemies at a time, so it can be a little bit tedious. You can wait in the other room from the one I'm in right now if you want to get to the enemies quicker, but there is this group of enemies that can spawn behind you. As you can see here, I'm just biding my time, waiting for some enemies to come through because I was anticipating a red elite earlier than this, and I'm not sure if he ever even came to this room. When I first entered this room, there was a red elite up top that I sniped early on, so it's possible that he was the guy that usually comes down. So I shouldn't have been so scared. I should have just kept pushing onto the enemies coming through that side of the room, and I probably would have shaved off 30 seconds to a minute on this entire run. However, it really doesn't come down to 30 seconds to a minute. You can probably see how difficult this run really is just by seeing how far we've come in time while I haven't even had my first death yet. The amount of time between different enemy waves throughout multiple sections of this mission is really what dictates the amount of time it takes to get through it. Someday, when I have a bigger following, I'm going to come back and do this mission and get the part-time while on Legendary. Can't do it now because I just don't have time to practice this grenade jump while pumping out the entire series. So I just wanted to say thank any of you for watching this far. As I was saying about the RNG, there's so many things that make this mission difficult, i.e. the grab jump at the beginning of the mission, and the sword elites and company that come through the following doors after you have entered the grab lift. They can rush you very quickly, or they might go really slowly through those doors. And after you get done with that, every single aspect of this mission and the enemies you come across is purely RNG based. So I just want to say props to anybody that can beat the par time of this mission without doing the grenade jumps. And I mean on Legendary. I can beat the par time of this on Heroic. I cannot beat the par time for this mission on Legendary. The waves of enemies, the strength of them, and sheer number of enemies that are thrown at you make this mission so extremely difficult to speed through on Legendary. Of course, like I said, you can do the grenade jump if you want to spend a lot of unnerving time practicing. However, you probably should practice on Legendary, where the damage scales are up. And it's going to take you a fat minute to get there on Legendary, especially if you're playing solo. And even if you're not making a run attempt out of it that game and you're just doing it solely to practice, it might take you a while just to get to that point. So once again, I'm just reiterating my props to anybody that was able to complete this mission on Legendary in under the par time without doing the grenade jump. That is a huge feat and probably one of the most difficult things you could do in the entire series of Legendary Halo. That is aside from Lasso. Legendary also goes on, but obviously this isn't Lasso, nor is this a speedrun. My goal of this guide is to provide a solution to Legendary Truth and Reconciliation. The series as a whole is the best way to beat Halo, which I believe is beating the par time and par score on Legendary. However, beating the par time on Legendary legitimately without the grenade jump on this mission seems to me right now like it might be impossible. I do believe it is more possible on co-op, but gee whiz is it difficult on solo. I've yet to come across anybody that has done this solo, beaten par time and par score without doing the grenade jump. As we get up into this room with the sword elite, I have this sped up here. I'll just make a disclaimer that I die twice here, maybe even 3 times, but I have it sped up really quickly, and you'll see that even with these deaths, I wouldn't have made part-time, so it's not like you have to freak like, oh, well, it's these deaths that caused this. It's not that. And this needler shot just had to give it to me right there at the end when I thought my pain and suffering was already at its peak. But you'll get back in here, and what I found is the best way to do this is to literally just prepare for this elite to charge you. If you can take out 1 or 2 elites with your sniper before he comes down, more power to you. But honestly, I just like to take out the first elite I see around the corner and then back up and let him charge me. You can take out with grunts with either your grenades or plasma pistol, but honestly, I'd keep some sniper ammo if you got it. And you're going to want to take out the rest of the grunts in this room. They'll be hiding around. They'll be lurking around each corner. But trust me, once you're able to get them finished with, you can move on to this next room. And once you get down there, you can just toss a grenade as that door is opening. Just be ready for that door to open after you kill the last grunt. Once you're going to come in here, you have a few more corridors to get to before you can get to keys. There's actually an active camo that we're going to be looking for, specifically so we can get invisible into the room with keys. We're going to move through these corridors, and we'll eventually find some more grunts and jackals along the way, and we're going to want to take those out just with a plasma pistol. At this point, you really have no need to fret. Whatever your time is, you can expect at least another 4 minutes from here until you finish your mission. And I say at least 4 minutes because, well, we're not going to be doing the keys skip. Of course, there's the grenade skip. But honestly, if that's not already wacky enough and difficult enough for you to have to practice for hours before you can even try attempting it, we've got another skip that we're not going to be doing. Because we already didn't do the grenade skip, we might as well not be doing that one. Basically what that entails is you shoot one of these Marines that you rescue from Keys' chamber, and on the way out of the final corridor before you get back into the raised platform room, you kill the final 2 Marines. Keys gets aggroed at you, and when you walk into the room and kill the invisible sword elites, the cutscene automatically plays. We're not doing the grenade skip already because it makes the guide a little bit nonsensical, as it's a cheap way of achieving part-time. If I ever find a better way, I promise to show that to you. But as of right now, it's not the best way to do it. And to conclude that thought, it makes the keys skip also unnecessary and illogical.
Cavalry has arrived.
Here is another speed up as I show you what happens when you don't push the charge with Keys behind you. Eventually, if you're not quick enough, Keys is going to catch up, and somebody, one of the Marines or him, will toss a grenade and end everything. So to start this room off, you're going to want to toss a frag grenade at that door immediately and try to clap those invisible elites right off the bat. As soon as you get down here, there's going to be some jackals, so you can throw a few grenades if you want and take those guys out immediately. As soon as you get down here, you're going to want to push forward. As you can see, the Marines start to get ahead of me because I'm not quick enough. So you got to be really fast here. This is why you want to have some plasma grenades. As you're moving through these corridors, just get ready follow this direction, and you'll pretty much see that the enemies spawn exactly the same way every single time. This is really beneficial because you can really practice your grenade throws if it takes you multiple attempts. As you're going down here, there's going to be jackals at this far end, and you're going to want to take them out immediately. Your Marines will move up really quick, and as you can see here, Keys was the first one. He took charge. I kind of like it, to be honest. But anyways, we're going to move on here and continue down this corridor. We're almost to the raised platform room, and this is where, I mean, shit just gets crazy. Not really. There's an easy strategy here to just make this go by really quickly after Cortana is done talking. She takes quite a while. Her and Foehammer have a moment, and it's not very fun when you realize, like, oh man, I wish I would have done the keys skip at this point. No, not really. You don't need to do the keys skip. If you're not doing the grenade skip, man, why even try? You know, why even bother? But we're getting the typical Halo experience here. So start this room off. You want to stay in this back little corner that you return into this room at, and you just want to be able to wait for these enemies to come out of that door. Grunts are going to be coming from all directions on those doors, so you want to get ready for them before they can start tossing grenades at you. As soon as you get rid of the grunts that come into this room initially, you can now move on, and you're going to want to get out of there. It takes a little bit of time to move back through these corridors, and once you're back to the end of it, you're going to find an elite is walking around outside that door along with some company. I tried to stick him right off the bat. That is ideal, but you can't always predict exactly where he's going to be by the time that door opens, and as that door opens, they're going to spot you. So you don't really have time to just sit there and aim at the elite. But as soon as you're able to open that door and kill all remaining enemies, that is game. I think we're going to revisit this one someday when I'm prepared to do the grenade jump and key skip. That is Truth and Reconciliation on Legendary in under 30 minutes. Stay tuned for the next one in the series where I attempt to get par time and par score on Legendary. Life is a Planet here. Peace out.